It's only worth talking to Olivia Christian, our 1320 host and correspondent. Olivia with a black puffy dress on this week. Oh, dog.
Dressing all
good, buddy.
I'm so glad you decided to not have the Hall of Fame talk before I got on. I was just thinking, oh God, I don't want to talk about it. Yay, we're not.
No, we're not doing it. Like, because I just thought, wow, that's interesting. And then I pulled up yep, forget it. Just not gonna do it. I guess my basketball mind isn't sharp enough for this conversation. You're listening to Danilo and Casey on ESPN 1320 KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQ HD2 Sacramento, an Odyssey station, and driven by Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge. Olivia Christian already got her introduction. We're so happy you're here. And games every Wednesday night when Olivia joins us. Like we had a Kings game last night. We know there's no takeaways from these games this late in the season, but and I know we'll get into give and go with Maybach O and all of that good stuff. But overall thoughts on that version of the Kings' performance last night?
I feel like we saw every version of the Kings in that one game. We
Real
saw
talk.
Great offense. We had moments of great defense. We had defensive lapses. We had swarming off on the glass and great rebounding and making and then crazy turnovers for no reason. Like all of it happened. It was an exciting game and also frustrating because it's like, just do the thing that you were doing. But that's the Kings game for you. So yeah, we saw all of it. The whole reading rainbow.
Is there, when you watch the Kings in a situation like that, and I mentioned it earlier, or as much as I like the talent of Houston, those are still some young guys out there playing. It's AAU squad. What do you take out of games like that when you watch them? I mean, is it the fact that they can stay focused? Is it the fact that, regardless of who they're going up against, they're handling business, or they ended up handling business? What do you take out of games that are kind of hard to take anything out of, to be honest with you?
At this point, I'm just looking to see guys get their minutes, see how they work together as a team, see what the coaching staff is doing, who they're putting in together, what combinations of guys are putting on the floor, what's working or not working, changing defense when it's clear that man-on-man is not working, and just seeing how all of that works. But yeah, I mean, it's all at this point in the season, just an opportunity to see guys get minutes and see what they can do. And hopefully, as things progress and we get towards the summer and we make some changes, then we'll be able to kind of see the chessboard and see what's going to be moving on and moving around. But at this point, it's just about trying to enjoy it, I guess, and get some guys some minutes.
We've got a lot of time to talk about the Kings, but I just can't. Like I burst into laughter when one of these came through. So I guess Hall of Fame announcements are being made today. Tim Hardaway going in. Shams just tweeted. Manu Ginobili headed to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And Swin Cash is going to the Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Run that by me again. Because
the girl Swin.
See, Kenny thinks he's being funny. That conversation was off the air. Look, fam, she is not a Hall of Famer. Jesus Christ, dude. She is not even close to a Hall of Famer. That is laughable. That is absolutely laughable. Swin Cash is not a Hall of Famer. That Detroit Pistons team she was on, that didn't have nothing to do with Swin Cash or Detroit Shock. Bruh. Ooh, who's going to put the butts in the seats for this Hall of Fame? Oh, man. Swin Cash is a Hall of Famer. Swin Cash is a Hall of Famer, and Tisha Pinachero is not?
Yeah.
Bruh, I can't do these Hall of Fames, man. I'm taking every Hall of Fame announcement day off.
Come on. I'm telling you.
Every one of them. Olivia, put it in your calendar. Every Hall of Fame announcement day is you and Kenny.
No, I don't want it either.
Look,
James Taylor, can we go, James? Will he take it?
I love basketball. I love the idea of the Hall of Fame. It's great. But the people that they let in there, I just don't. I would have a different criteria for my Hall of Fame. I just would. But
what's weird is it's bad for every league. It's bad for every league. Major League Baseball is crazy with their health. Maybe the NFL is the best at doing it, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there are that many players that I'm like, you're in it. Maybe it takes too long.
Well, with the NFL, their issue is more like, we're going to teach you a lesson before we let you into the Hall of Fame.
There's that. Then they also do have some guys that are like, come on. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I don't remember one play from this man's career. I always bring this guy up. I apologize to him because I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but Aeneas Williams. I know he was good with some really bad Arizona teams, but Aeneas Williams, off the top of your guys' head, have you guys ever seen Aeneas Williams highlight? Yeah, have you seen it?
The one. I'm being sarcastic. I don't.
And he was just like a bona fide. I think he was like a first ballot bona fide. I was like, really?
Yeah, well, I feel like there's always going to be 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 in every league that's got like, you're in the Hall of Fame, which is why I try to stay out of the conversation. Baseball doesn't make any sense how they get people in. It's all really like, but the reporters are all jerks and like, well, I don't like you, so I'm not voting for you. And it's chaos.
Well, they're also all 90. So they're like, we're not letting these guys in. They're bad for the game. Give me the good old womanizing racist guys. We'll let those guys in, but we don't want these other ones in.
Well, that's hip hop. The walk up music is too hip hop these days. I can't get on board with it.
Well, it's ruining the game. That walk up music is ruining the game for sure. Okay, sorry. Those announcements really threw me for a loop.
Anybody else? Just those 3 right now?
That's all I got. I mean, we'll see who shocks the hell out of the next announcement. But that's something. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled program.
Speaking of things that you don't want to talk about, the slap. I know that you guys have been talking about it, or at least you talked about it Monday. I tuned in on Monday. I was able to hear your conversation around it. I've been trying to avoid it because now every celebrity is being asked what they think and all these takes and essays being written about it. And it was shocking to me. While I was watching the Stanford game, and then I'm on Twitter at the same time, like looking over at my phone, getting Will, okay, Chris, and more Will and Chris, and it's getting crazier and crazier. But I wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit. People aren't overwhelmed by it at this point. Like,
no, we really just talked about it the one day, and I don't think either one of us had anything add to it. But you've got a fresh perspective, so I'm curious what you thought.
Well, I was more like the slap, of course, the actual incident. I think, like I said, it was shocking. People have a lot of takes about protecting your wife, and violence is never the answer. But I was really thinking about Will's acceptance speech after it. When he got the Oscar, he went up there and he started crying a bit, and he explained his tears were about the movie and all of the women that he's been protecting. And he's like Richard Williams and wanting to protect these girls. And I thought the acceptance speech was a bit self-serving, which is obviously what an acceptance speech is about. It's like thanking everybody, like you're in love with yourself, you're in love with your performance, and it's been a wonderful award season. But I felt like he potentially kind of changed that acceptance speech to make an excuse for why he did what he did. And he put it in like I said, Richard Williams, like him, he was protecting his daughters. And I grew up playing tennis. That was my primary sport. I'm a little older than those two, so I wasn't able to be inspired by them. But I was encouraged by the type of family that they were, and how, like the Ball family, right? The dad is in there. He's like, I trust and believe in what I'm doing with my boys. I don't care about all the hate that I get. Richard Williams was the same way. And tennis is even worse. How they treated those Black girls when they were young, from their outfits to whether or not they were in the club life and, the circuit beforehand, before turning pro. It was incredible. It was ridiculous and expected because it's tennis. Even the commentators, the way they describe them on the court is, oh, they just have this animal instinct. But the other players, the white players, they were cerebral. They were strategic. But Venus and were just kind of animals out there and tearing up these girls. And so I have a lot of feelings about that, of course. But in relationship to the slap, again, I think Will kind of tried to equate his experience that night with what Richard Williams and the Williams sisters had been dealing with. Richard Williams was bringing up these young girls in Compton. And in the movie you saw, like, there were guys out there trying to like harass them. There's gunfire, there's gangs. They had very little money, a lot of children, and tennis is very expensive. What he was doing was literally trying to save their lives. And the moment that Chris Rock made that joke, Jada's life was not at risk. And she has never, in my memory, ever positioned herself as some woman who needed to be rescued. Jada talks about working out hard, her abs, what she does with her body. She stays strong, and she's that kind of woman. Now, that doesn't mean, I mean, she's still like 5 feet tall, right? So she's not out there busting heads, but she doesn't come across as the type of woman that would need that type of demonstration of protection. Mm-hmm. And so that acceptance speech and those conversations that people were having on Twitter about protecting and all that stuff, all of those kind of feelings came to my head. And I just don't think it's right for him to think about himself in that situation and equating it to what Richard Williams was doing for the last 30 years, 40 years for these girls. And maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Maybe he's not trying to equate it, but I thought in that speech, he was trying to position himself as, well, I was just doing it for them, just the way that Richard did.
So I didn't take it that way. Yeah. I didn't take it like he was doing it for the Williams sisters or for Mr. Williams. I took it more in the sense of he was perhaps attempting as best he could in that moment where he was probably still extremely emotional to explain what just happened, right? And obviously in the moment, and now I think we're learning a little bit more about that particular moment. He approached him the way that he did. He went back and sat down, and according to various reports, now he was asked to leave. He said no. I'm sure the purveyor of Black cinema, Denzel Washington, got involved and said, let's let everybody calm down. Let's sit down. Let's get through this ceremony. Well, let's get to the end of the night and let's do that. And he knew he had to address it. And in the moment, he didn't want to say anything directly to Chris Rock. So he used what his platform was the award for that show. I didn't think the comparison, and I think what stands out is the first line he said when he said Richard Williams is a fierce protector of his family. I didn't think that was out of line, especially, and I don't expect everybody to recognize this and know this, but his book centers around an incident with his mom and his dad. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's really important to the story of Will Smith. Like, we know the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Will Smith in Philly was a problem. Like, I got in one little fight. My mom got scared. No, you didn't. Like, you had some issues there. You were running with the wrong people. The real Will Smith, like striking someone, I'm sure isn't new for Will Smith. But there's a passage in the book where he talks about when he didn't approach his dad about something that happened to his mom. Like, he calls himself a coward and how he would never let that happen again. And in the moment, like it's probably it's an overreaction on his part. I think he recognized that now. I think he recognized that when he put the apology out the next day. In the moment, though, I can't tell him the way he's reacting is wrong.
Wait, the slap or the acceptance speech? You can't
all of it. Like all of it. I think the slap happened. I think he actually sat down and got angrier. Like, I think he was angrier by the time he sat down than when he actually went up, and he knew, don't move, get through this and deal with it later. And then as time passes, he talks to various people and he just has time to settle. I think he has a moment of, okay, that probably wasn't handled the right way, but I've got to get through this night. And he chose. Again, I thought it was a fair correlation between the two, but he chose his acceptance speech as a way to attempt to explain what just happened. And there is that you can tie that particular line to him in his book. Like, it makes total sense. Again, I don't expect everybody to have read that big ass Will Smith book, but like I've said it before, I said it Monday 1,000 times. I love that dude. So I've spent time reading books and learning about him, and that reaction, although it was shocking to see on television, I wasn't surprised to see Will lose his temper.
Well, I understand that you've read his book, and I've heard stories about his childhood, the abuse that he witnessed as a young man and not standing up to his dad. The challenge around all that stuff for me is we all have those stories. We all have something that explains why we present ourselves to the world and the way we present ourselves to the world. And as we get older, it doesn't mean that those things are distant and we've outgrown them. They are scars that we carry with us always. But as we get older, we learn how to manage them to an extent, hopefully, right? Not everybody does. But Will has not stayed in Philadelphia, stayed that 15 or 20-year-old man. He has grown as a human being, built an empire. And in that moment of the acceptance speech, I thought that he was kind of thinking about all of what he's done and he's accomplished, where he's been, and how he was at risk now because of that one incident. And here's a way potentially, because he did have some time, right? Right after the slap, he didn't win the award. There were some things that happened in between. He was sitting there talking to people, thinking through, what am I going to do? I think they were thinking he's going to win. He's in the front row. That's typically where they put winners, near the front. So he's got to think about a way to explain it. Now, I don't mind. I mean, I take issue with what he did. I understand we can get out of control and things happen in a flash. But what I didn't like was it did feel like he was equating that particular incident of protection with what Richard Williams has been dealing with for decades. And that's what I took issue with. I think it wasn't genuine. It was an escape route for him. That's what it felt like to me. That's what it felt like. And
I disagree. I strongly disagree. Like I understand your point. I don't think he was. Yeah, I disagree. I don't think he thought the world I don't think he thought the world was going to come crumbling down on him for this. I do feel like he regretted it. I do. Like, I know, Kenny, you had a problem with him not apologizing to Chris Rock in that moment. And my feeling in that moment was like, unless you're sure you feel like you need to apologize, don't, because then it'll really come across as fake and insincere. And and my feeling was it would look even worse. And the apology obviously came the next day. I thought his speech, maybe I need to watch it again. I thought his speech was sincere, and I didn't think it was a escape route, as you say.
Yeah, and we all have our own perspectives, and our life experience informs the way in which we see these things. So whether or not we see them the same is okay. It's not bad. It's not wrong. That's just the way that I took it. And I also took issue with, what makes you do crazy things. That statement stuck out to me as well. I would never want someone to demonstrate their love for me by slapping somebody else or punching somebody else, unless they were literally physically defending me in that moment from that person doing it to me. Language, words, comedy, whether or not it's funny, that stuff is not a reason, in my opinion, to be violent. It has never made me more attracted to a man to see him punch somebody in a bar or in a scuffle. I'm never like, yes, that is the one. What's likely to happen is the woman who does like that stuff will likely be on the other end of that hand at some point. And so that's another. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm doing my soliloquy.
Go ahead, Kenny. I just don't see it that way. Like we have, for some reason, we have all put ourselves in these positions. I don't know what it is about, whether it's because Chris Rock and Will Smith are so well known because this was the Oscars or what it was. We seem to have really put ourselves in each of these people's positions. Right.
That's what we do as humans, right? We do that as humans. We think, what would we do in that situation? I think that's a natural reaction. And that's fine. It can be a natural reaction. But as part of this reaction, maybe we should stop and think, like, we're not in those positions. Like you could put yourself in Jada's position, but you're putting yourself in Jada's position as Olivia.
You know Olivia's state of mind. You know how Olivia feels. We put ourselves in the position of Will Smith or Chris Rock. If I was Chris Rock, I would have beat Will Smith all over that auditorium. Yeah, that's fine. That's what you say in your moment. That's what you say right now with a clear head because you didn't have an Oscar to present to someone that you have a tremendous amount of respect for, by the way, in Questlove. You didn't have to do that. You weren't on live television in front of God knows how many hundreds of people in who knows how many countries. You don't know how you'd react. Just like you don't know where Will Smith was. You don't know where his state of mind was. And you don't know how you would react if you were in the same position that he was. Saying we would do this, we would do that, I would do this, I would do that is so simple-minded. Think outside the box a little bit and think, I don't know what he's going through. It's not a question of whether he made a mistake or not. We can acknowledge that. He shouldn't have done that. But to say we would have done this and we would have done that, no, you have no idea what you would have done. None of you do.
I don't know if I said I know what I would do in that situation, but as a society, we create laws and rules and ways to function, not after something has happened, but beforehand, to say this is how we're going to live in a safe environment. We're going to create spaces for people to live and work and play and all these things. And yes, sometimes those rules are broken. And then as a collective, we think, what would we do if we're in that situation? To say like, we don't know, so let's forget about it. We're being simple-minded. Anything can happen. Like, well, no, we have to think as adults, rational people, what is allowed and what is not allowed.
And that's fine.
Can we create in the system to think through how to eliminate these things?
But that's fine. Like, that's realistic. Like that's living. But what we're doing here in this situation is we're looking at it in hindsight.
Well, that's how everything happens in hindsight, right? Like all we can do is think, okay, how do we best set ourselves up to not experience these things again? That's how we create. That's how things are created.
That's like that's literally all you can do. Like
no, but it's not realistic. Like we all said, like what's the when you're on an airplane, you know, if the plane goes down, put the mask first, women and children, or you know, help yourself before you help the others. Grab the thing from under the seat. No, nobody's doing like the plane's going down. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like that's what we're like. We in the moment or when you're sitting in the exit row. Okay, I've got to open the door. I've got to do this. I've got to save the whole airplane. Okay, got it. That's why I got this seat. It's to save everybody. But then you get the, hey guys, the plane's going down. Your first thing isn't, okay, what did they say on the exit row? All right, got my mask, gonna help these people up. No, you have adrenaline, you have different things running through your mind that it changes the circumstances in which you're trying to process this information.
But Damian, I also think that this is the conversation that you would want, that you're talking about, because I don't think Olivia or myself is saying what we would have done. We're saying what we would like to have seen, what should have happened. It didn't happen. If everybody's in a situation, maybe they handle exactly how Will Smith did, but we can't talk about that. Well, all we can talk about is what we would have liked to see happen. And in that situation, like something like what I would have liked to have seen happen, and I've heard other men express this, and I would have liked, and they would want their partner to have stopped them. Should she have done it with all it? She couldn't. She probably didn't even know what Will was going up there. She probably didn't even see it. But out of a partner, they would want Jada to grab Will and be like, don't go up there. Don't go up there. You know what I'm saying? Protect him from his rage or his frustrations or whatever the case may be. There was a lot going on with Will Smith in that situation. And it's a lot closer in time to like the present day, as opposed to like way back when he was a kid. Like that's just what I believe. There's a lot going on in the last 5 years that led to him feeling however he was feeling and how he's been feeling as of late. And that may have been an additional trigger to things that he's been dealing with his entire life. But my thought is there's a lot going on with Will Smith that contribute to that particular moment.
Okay. I got nothing left on this. I've said what I've said. We're all condemning Will Smith, like, because basically I'm taking a peek at the chat house. Everybody, we're all perfect. We ain't never had a moment of frustration, of anger. We ain't never done it. No, what you haven't done is done it in front of several 100 million people. And your stupid ass behavior gets excused and it gets brushed off because no one's paying attention to what you're doing. But because we act like Will Smith pulled a knife on Chris Rock. I'm not condoning what he did. I'm not saying what he did is okay. But the reaction to this over the last several days has been idiotic. Just borderline idiotic. He slapped him. It's foul. It was a bad look by Will Smith. We act like he murdered Chris Rock in front of everybody. And we're all saying it's this and it's no one watching, no one listening has ever made a mistake. No one watching, no one ever listening has ever reacted to something.
As the conversation devolved into we've never made a mistake, of course we've all.
No, that's what the conversation has been for the last 4 days.
No, he's out of pocket. Like I don't think anybody here has been with sense said he should have had charges pressed on him or.
Word? Hey,
sense,
like you say, partner, our timelines are different.
With sense. Everybody that I've talked to, like, foul. Like, that was foul. There's nothing more, nothing less. No, I've seen it argued, but not by anybody that I talk to, that he should give the Oscar back or nobody that I know that I communicate is saying that that's what should happen. It's literally been it was foul. And then it's got spun off into other conversations of more so why this happened, not that it happened. Like, that's been the thing that I've been hearing and hearing people talk about and get into more than actually what comes next or who he is as a person. It's like, well, how did he get here? And that has been a huge conversation.
All right. Got anything else?
Happy Thursday. Olivia on again.
Give and go with May back. Oh, you want to talk about Serena versus Maria Sharapova now, or can we?
I have thoughts. If you want to talk about it, I have thoughts.
I know you do.
King Boss. Hey, so this is what we talking about. I was gonna say this is what we talking about. Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey said he would have sued for $200 million. Jim Carrey ain't on my timeline. That's what I don't know. The conversations that I have, the people that I talk to, we're not having those conversations. Jim Carrey not on my timeline. That's all I'll say.
George Karl.
Well deserved.
Finally a name that makes some sense. George Karl headed to the Hall of Fame. Oh, and but by the way, we got Bobby Huggins. Bobby Huggins is headed to the Hall of Fame as well. We got to get our man Stanley on the phone.
Stanley, if you're listening, you got to tap in. Your man Bobby Huggins is going to the Hall.
Stanley, we'll clear 20 minutes for you. If you wanna talk, we'll clear 20 minutes for you to talk about your man Bobby Huggins. We'll come back, give and go with Maybach O on the way here on Sacramento's #1 sports station, ESPN 1320. I know you said that with a smirk on your face, Jesse. Shut up, dude. Like I could hear it in your voice.
What'd he say?
He comes in and we're all good. Yeah, like the. Oh man.
Yeah, Will got a lot going on. I've heard a couple different people talking about this, and I really liked the conversation that I heard from Joe Budden. A lot of the things that he was saying was making sense. It's a lot to go into right now, and I don't even know if I want to go into it in this forum. But yeah, he said a lot of things that made sense on both sides, like almost why Will got to that spot, and like from some stuff that was going on at home, and why Will got to that spot with Chris Rock specifically. You know what I'm saying? Like Chris Rock specifically, when you lay out some of the things, there is a point of it. And like I said, I'm not saying it should have happened. There is a point in an argument to be made that Will like, yo, enough is enough. Because there's been little things here and there between those two for a minute.
There have been a lot of people talking a lot of stuff about Will and Jada, and Will and Jada, plus who Will and Jada hang out with for years. 4 years. About the look, about the relationship. Even that night, they were talking about their relationship.
Yep.
And what we think they do behind closed doors and what they've invited us to know about them with a red table in front of them. They've invited a lot of this, a lot of commentary about who they are and what they do. I'm a big fan of Will Smith, and I hurt for him. I felt like he felt a lot of regret in that moment, and when he was getting that Oscar, so many emotions, so many thoughts were probably rushing through his mind. But I do believe, you know, all of us as humans, all of our experiences inform who we are today. But that is, I don't think either of you were saying that's an excuse. Well, you know, he was thinking, you know, those moments in his childhood, he didn't defend his mom, and this was his chance. I'm sure he's had
that
many
stuff shapes who people are. That's the point I was trying to make. And
it does, and I agree with you with that stuff. But I'm saying, as an adult, we aren't allowed to just say, well, I was abused as a kid, or this thing happened to me, and use that as, you can use it as an explanation, but not
which he didn't, by the way, at least not to my knowledge.
No,
he didn't do any of that.
I don't think he said anything.
I don't think he has
apology, but I don't think he said anything about, you know.
Wow. Chris Rock did a show last night.
Yeah,
he's doing his tour. I was reading, he got like a 2-minute standing ovation at the beginning, and then just started, how was your weekend? And
he was like, I wrote jokes. I don't want to talk about that. I'm going to say the jokes that I wrote.
Yeah.
But I was like, what made me think about Serena and Venus and Richard was like, one of the other big things with them was all these rivalries they had early on, so-called rivalries they had early on in their career. They were whooping up on everybody. But every time a big tournament came on, it would be, oh, Serena versus Maria Sharapova. Like, she beat her 17 times. This is a real rivalry.
Destroyed her. Yeah. Just destroyed her. I always found that funny.
It's so wild. And so I was thinking about the UNC and Duke and that rivalry, like real rivalries. Those are real rivalries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a Bears fan, but I don't know if the Packers.
Seems a bit one-sided to me.
Sorry,
but it's still a rivalry, though. It's still a rivalry. Like I know
Olivia was about to disconnect. She was like, "I'm sorry, there's a disconnection."
My internet is weird. Like sometimes I can hear you, but the screen is still. So I was like,
"Yeah, that's tough." Yeah,
like Damian and other people, he's not alone. Like to say Kings Lakers isn't a rivalry. Well,
it isn't. It isn't.
I mean, number one, it is a rivalry on one side. So you can't tell Kings fans who they can't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, they hate your guts. They hate your guts. There ain't nothing you can do about it.
That don't make it a rivalry, though. That just makes it someone that you hate.
So let me ask you this: Yankees Red Sox was never a rivalry, and I'm not saying that's what Kings Lakers is, but the Red Sox, they beat the Yankees for 90 years.
Yes.
They didn't.
No, they never beat the Yankees until 04. Never. But that
we're coming back. We're coming back. I think we are. Next time Olivia texts us and says, "Hey, I'm gonna throw something in the rundown. If you guys don't want to do it, it's cool." I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, we don't want to do it." It's hard pass, Olivia.
I put it out there. I said we don't have to go there. Kenny said it was okay.
That's facts. That's facts. Kenny didn't say it was okay. Kenny did say it was okay. It's D'Lo and KC, along with Olivia Christian Maybach. here, brought to you by McQueen and the Violet Fog, the smoothest gin in the world, handcrafted in Brazil. And man, like, what are we on? 3-4 weeks that Olivia said at the end of yesterday's, like, once the stream shut down and everything at the end of last week, I'm sorry, guys, I kind of hit like some heavy things the last couple of weeks. So I was like, nah, man, like, that's good. This your show. It's what we do.
Yeah.
Well, 4 in a row. Way to go. 4 in a row, partner. Nailed it.
Three continues.
You are on a roll.
Next week, I want to talk about rape culture in the NFL. Can we say that right now?
Jesus. Speaking. So she's been reading Deshaun Watson's deposition, clearly.
Oh, man.
God almighty.
I will have my essay written. I will have examples. We can break it down.
Man.
Real talk.
Man. That's
real talk. With every passing day, Deshaun's headed into the basement box next to Will next to Cosby and R. Kelly. Like we ain't gonna be. He's 2 seconds away from just being referred to as the Browns quarterback from now on.
Yeah.
Those deposition transcripts are like, boy. All right.
Wild.
Anyways, let's try to. I mean, it's what do they call today? Like Mini Friday. Let's cheer. Let's try to pick things up a little bit.
Well, let's wait though. I want to bring something else on here because we got.
Oh, good.
So do you think we were talking about rivalries during the break? Do you think Yankees Red Sox is a rivalry?
Now, yes. Back in the day when we,
I feel like the argument it's not a rivalry now. Yankees ain't beat them since 04.
04 isn't 90 years. It was 90
It's
years.
been 20 years. It's been 20 years since the Western Conference Finals.
It hasn't been.
And we say that's not a rivalry.
Our last chip was in 09, but it's not like we are terrible.
I think it's a rivalry.
We're in the hunt, but it's some give and go.
I think it's a rivalry. I think it always has been a rivalry. I think the rivalry can happen even if the results are one-sided. Because the energy can be there. The energy can be there, regardless if it's one-sided or not. In select cases, I think Yankees Red Sox is one of those things. I think I'm not gonna say it's on the level of Yankees Red Sox. I think Kings Lakers is a little bit of a rival. Like Laker fan, they're talking about they don't care about the Kings. They don't, but they do. Like they get a kick out of beating us around.
Yeah.
Like there's an emotion to that though. Like they don't get a kick out of beating Portland around. That's literally when you could care less.
Portland's city is not excited and crazy when the Lakers come to town because they think of it as a rivalry. The Kings fans do. So yeah, that's why the Lakers get a kick out of it. If the Kings fans are like, oh, it's another game. Yeah, we want to win. But the Lakers would approach it the same way. But the fact that the Kings fans get so up for it and the players get so up for it, yeah, now it's like, okay.
But that's what I'm saying.
But that's not a rivalry.
But that's what I'm saying. A rivalry, if you bring a certain level of energy, you can have a rivalry.
But the losers
maybe that's more history than it is rivalry. How about that? They've got history.
Yeah. Let's find common ground today, guys. History. We'll call
it ain't happening. It's just not happening today. How many more divisive conversations do you want to have? By the way, this was obviously this was sparked, I think, Olivia, because Duke, North Carolina tomorrow. I think that was what. That. So, is there something to be said though, like for the fact that the Yankees and the Red Sox play each other 4,000 times a season, and with ESPN, the hub essentially centered right between New York and Boston, and them making the whole focal point of the launch of that network, Red Sox, Yankees, New York, Boston, like that has to play at least some part in the current inclination of the rivalry, doesn't it?
It does. And I think that's why both of those teams are very polarizing, because if you don't care or don't like the Yankees or the Red Sox, and every Sunday night baseball on ESPN is Yankees, Red Sox, every other week it's them, then you hate them and you don't care about that rivalry. Maybe you don't even think about it as a rivalry. You're just waiting for another team to get that primetime spot. But I think the press has a lot to do with whether or not teams and players, individual athletes, if they're legit rivals, they kind of create the conversation, whether it's legit or not.
Yeah, it's the Yankees, Red Sox, low-key media created.
Well, I mean, it started with Babe Ruth, but I mean, it was perpetuated in the latter decades.
That would make Babe Ruth the first black baseball player to be traded. It's true. Do your research, kids. Do your research. It's out there. Give and go.
Ted Williams breaking barriers.
Ted Williams. Oh my God! I just learned about Ted Williams today. I had no idea. Oh man, dude, baseball been for the culture for a while. We just didn't know about it. One of my favorite times of the week, give and go with Maybach O. What do we got here, Olivia?
I love how you say it's your favorite time of the week, where like she brings the heavy every week. We're all depressed.
Well, Well, we hang out and we talk a little bit, but give and go is usually a little bit more. It's normally the topics before give and go that just cut our heart out and get our blood pressure rising.
Well, my give and goes are generally about the game last night. And we kind of talk. I can't not do that every time.
I love it. It's great.
And we kind of talk generally about what I thought about the game. And there's we saw all emotional roller coaster of the Kings, the players, what they're like in that game. But what could go? I'm going to go with the goes first. I usually start with the gives. What could go for next season and the next couple games we have before the season ends is this poor transition defense. It drives me pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It drives me crazy. And last night was just insane with it. They would run up the score. We're doing well. It's like they're celebrating, high-fiving the bench. And Houston's like, layup for us. Thank you. So
I'm just going to go out on a limb. That ain't going anywhere.
that ain't going nowhere this year.
I think so that'll give you one more. You've got at least one more give and go segment where that's going to be a problem.
That's going to be
an issue.
Another one will be the unforced turnovers. I'm sure that's a thing that we'll still be dealing with. I feel like some of the players get excited. It's a big moment, and dribble it off the foot or pass it to nobody, get stopped, you get caught in the air with nowhere to pass it. And we had a couple of those incidents last night with a minute left. And it's like,
Damian Jones.
Calm down a minute, make a good decision. So that could go for me. Is one thing that kind of stood out to me last night, and I think I've seen it in the last few games, is I love Damian Jones. I like his energy. I feel like he wants to make an imprint on every game. He comes out there, comes hard, but he gets a lot of fouls. And it's mainly because he looks wild when he fouls. He's winding up, trying to block shots instead of being more discreet. And sometimes it's just the way you look when you're trying to attack a guy, attack the ball, attack, the backboard or something, attack a pass. If you're winding your arms up, they're going to make that call. So I think he and some other players, off-white, they're kind of very dramatic in the way that they're pursuing a player, and they're setting themselves up for getting into foul trouble. Am I alone in noticing that, the wind-up thing?
I'm trying to think of if there's anybody else who does it. Does Dante do it a little bit? Dante's pretty aggressive with his fouls. Yeah, he goes after it.
He's not a ticky-tack foul guy. He's like his whole
body.
He took
a good little shot in the fourth quarter, too. It worked. He got the offensive call. Yeah. Dante's tough, man.
He is tough as nails.
He doesn't fit with the Kings. Like, he's tough. Like he's that $2 steak in a sea of fillets here on the Sacramento Kings. But man, he's tough.
He's on and off switch, and it's always on. This is all the energy. I'm coming with you. I'm going for these hard. Yeah, go ahead.
And that's Davion too, though. Like, they're both like that. That switch stays on with both of them. And it's certainly not a bad thing.
No,
it's not a bad thing.
I think control is something that they can practice on the off season, body control and really work on the mindset of the game, like practicing those, 1 minute left in the game situations and knowing what to do and putting each player in a position to pay attention and be ready to receive the ball, that kind of stuff. We can work on that in the summer.
Yeah.
One of the many things that we can work on during
add that
summer.
To the list.
Add it to the list.
I keep telling y'all, the way everybody talking, I don't know where the hope is coming from.
Okay.
Got a laundry list of things to do with no money.
I didn't even make a list of homes.
Do what Olivia makes vision boards. We need to make a vision board for the Kings. That's what we need to do.
Idea. I like that.
We need to make a vision board for the Kings. Kenny's would be like this weird montage of Cam Reddish pictures.
I'm about to say, for the vision board, don't you usually have to have you and your spouse on a beach somewhere? That's the vision board.
Whatever you want to happen. It could be if you want your spouse to be on a beach, you then put that on the vision board.
But then it's not even you and your spouse. It's like a picture cut out of a magazine of a couple on the
It's
beach.
Will and Jada on a beach somewhere.
And Chris, all hugging.
And Chris, yes,
Chris.
all together. I want harmony here.
Yeah, I think I look at the Kings, and you talk about Dante DiVincenzo and his toughness. I feel like, did they get tougher at the trade deadline with their acquisitions? I mean, it wasn't that hard to be tougher than what they were originally, but did they get tough enough? Like we talk about a dog. Do they need to bring another dog in, or is it more so
but
a super skilled player?
Who's the dog?
Dante's a dog. Davion.
Okay.
Sabonis got some dog in him. Sabonis ain't no punk.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think Davion.
I don't know. Do you think we need more dogs? Do we need more? We might. I'm just asking a question.
We need some shooters.
There we go.
That's what we need.
There we go.
We
Are
got
shooters
dogs.
cats or dogs?
Hey, little kitty.
You just rattled.
Wow.
The show is gone.
Yeah. We went from passionate debate to giggling and making cat noises. That's where we've gone. No, I think Dante's a dog, but like we did. God, this is deja vu. We did all of this already. We did all of this last year. We thought we had dogs. We didn't. Like Olivia's right. I don't care if you're a dog, you're a cat, you whatever. Go get a shooter. Maybe get a handful.
That's where I'm at. Like I feel like the whole dog thing. Whatever.
Sabonis feels like a leader. Like we talked about that like a week or so ago. Like the way and you can see this a lot during games. Olivia, like when he played, he talked a lot. Like he was pulling guys aside, dead balls, free throws. He was constantly talking, pointing. Like it felt like he was trying to get a grasp for what, or either he was trying to get a grasp or he was trying to get everybody else to get a grasp of what they were trying to do out there. Mm-hmm. And I thought during, I don't know how many games he wound up playing, he was probably the most vocal guy on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And that's something that I've been talking about, having that kind of vocal leader, someone who will stop if there's a, time on the court to stop and say, hey, when I do this, you got to do this. You got to be there if I'm going to be here. And he's doing that for himself to, learn the Kings system, but also, bringing in all these new players. He's the big guy on the court now, literally and figuratively. He's there. Mm-hmm. The offense is going to be running through him and De'Aaron, and if he's going to make a dent into the loss column, he's got to be that leader and snatch some necks and pull guys together. And I think he did that. Davion has been a dog the whole season. I think he's been consistent whenever he has but sometimes that dog has been off the leash and has been wild, right? But the fact that he's had some, he's been starting in these games, had some consistent minutes. I think he's been really smart with how he's approached the game. He's, everyone's going to make some errors, throw some bad passes, make some turnovers. That's turnovers. That's to be expected. But overall, I think he's done a great job of handling, stepping up in this time to really kind of showcase his talents. And same with Dante. He's grown since when he first came to the team. I think he's settled down a bit. I like his wildness. But it does I do think he and Damian Jones, when they're kind of wild at it, running their arms all over the place and running really hard at someone, the refs are people. Even if it's not really a foul, it's more dramatic looking. They're looking at the reaction. You're calling attention to yourself in that way. And then they go to sit on the bench, and when we need them to be dogs and on the court.
Davion finally got a charge call last night because earlier in the game, there was another bad block call. I got angry, just like Davion starting to get. They finally gave him one, and it was beautiful. What an anticipation! What a way to read Josh Christopher's move on that fast break. I hope next year that maybe it's just a rookie thing, and he's going to get more respect for when he cuts these guys off and takes a charge right in the chest, and they call it a block this year. Hopefully next year he gets more charge calls.
Yeah. Maybe that was a rookie thing, making him earn it.
No, it's a Sacramento thing. You don't get calls. Yeah, you don't.
Sacramento, that's just nasty.
What was
nothing?
Well, I don't remember what game it was a week or so ago where Kings were at the foul line a bunch in the first half. and it was like the
I think it was the
officials.
Bucks game.
Is that what it was? Because the officials went to the locker room like, whoa, what are we doing? And then suddenly the calls completely disappeared in the second half.
Yeah.
It's wild. Any more give and goes?
Well, one thing I saw yesterday that I thought was great was we had 72 points in the first half, and we had very few turnovers, 1 or 2 turnovers, I think, in the first half. So yeah, let's keep doing that. Let's keep continuing to get quickly into our offense. But what I'd like them to do more is get quickly into their offense, whether or not the other team has made a basket. If they made a basket, we don't need to walk up the floor slowly. We don't do well in a set defense. Let's just get it up. And I think Houston was doing that last night. Obviously, when we made a basket, we were celebrating, high-fiving, and they were going down the court. Let's do that as well. Take it off the backboard. Take it out
last night.
Houston
was just, they were just like, yeah, whatever. That's and why not with the, kind of state of this, like they're going to finish where they want to finish. They're just out there. Like, let's go. Like Kenny, you said, that was an AAU team out there playing the Kings last night.
Yeah, they was having a good time.
Almost won.
Yeah.
Yeah. They kept bringing that up, right? Like there's a couple of 20-year-olds and maybe a 21-year-old. Are this for Harrison Barnes? Are you making fun of him for being out there trying to keep up with the youngins?
Hey, speaking of Harrison Barnes,
I love that. Harrison isn't old, but
yeah, he's not even 30.
We talk like Harrison is really old.
He's 35. You feel like he's 35.
It's like, absolutely. Like he's Joe Ingles out there or something. Like he's very much not.
Wait, he's not 30?
No, I think he just turned 29, or he might turn 30 sometime.
If he's 30, he just turned 30. Because this was he's 20. He'll turn 30 in May. He's 29 years old. Harrison Barnes is 29 years old and feels like he's 35.
That is wild. I don't know why I thought. I mean, obviously, like
everybody thinks that.
The way he carries him as an old soul, he doesn't really get mad.
He's been around for a long time. Like you forget he came in the league when he was 18. Like I feel like he was a young freshman at UNC, and then he did that 1 year and came into the league like relatively young.
It's like we need to just start calling him Cap, like he's Kareem. Just start talking like he's Kareem or something.
Oh, fake magic with one of the lines. We call you one of the lines of the year. We call you Cap, but you ain't leading nothing around here.
Ooh,
I can't see how that. I want to see how that finishes right there. Because that was a bar.
I still can't figure out. We're 3 episodes in.
I think it's 4.
4 episodes in.
I think it's 4.
I can't figure out how Winning Time is getting to 1991. They haven't even started. Dude, they haven't even gotten to Pat Riley yet. And we're getting to 1991 somehow.
No, this has to be a couple seasons. Like the way they're setting this up, you could do a couple seasons and get to 1987.
You could, but how? Like remember the first shot of the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell you what it was, but we all knew exactly what it was.
Man,
that was Magic Johnson in November 7th, 1991. That's what that shot was.
Wow.
You can't just end the season and not revisit that again. Hey, don't worry about that. We'll tie that together in 7 years. Don't worry.
Maybe we'll just do some flash forwards and like this is gonna happen, but let's go back. I don't know. You're right. I think a lot of HBO shows are like that. If it doesn't get a second season, they want to tell a complete story, but they are kind of leaving room for a decision to be made.
Damian, this is going to blow your mind. I looked it up. There's only supposed to be 10 episodes this year.
See? And if we're 4, there's no way.
Week or on Sunday.
Man. They are going to have to go back and fill in the gaps. That's what they're going to have to do. Like they could tell the rest of the story, but then, like you said, Olivia, there's going to be like these flash forwards, and then it's going to be Magic on a wild night at some wild club, and then all of a sudden it's going to be November 1991.
Yeah.
And then in season 2, here's how the Lakers beat Boston in Boston or something like that. That show's entertaining as hell.
It is. They enjoy it. Yeah.
It's good stuff. I like this historical stuff because when you go back, like Pat Riley. I forgot that Pat Riley used to look like that. I was like, wait, Adrian,
Right.
Brody? Adrian, that's not right. I'm like, oh yes, that was him.
Yeah.
70s, early 80s, that mustache, and yeah.
And it's crazy. Like the Lakers are about to go through 3 coaching changes. Like the Jack McKinney to Paul Westhead to Pat Riley, like all in the span of the next year. They were the Sacramento Kings of 1980, right? just running through coaches. You're the best, Olivia. We appreciate you so much for being with